Hello again. So I'm here to present diverseLevant, an online mapping platform that illustrates the urban evolution of Beirut over its entire history, as well as across its social, cultural, and religious diversity. The project began as an idea a year ago, exactly, has since received the support of the New Levant initiative, and I'm delighted to report that its beta version has gone live as of right now. This is only the beginning, and think of it as a historical Google map that will gradually accrue more and more data once researchers come on board and contribute information. Beirut has been around for a while, and I'll be taking you through a timeline that begins in 2500 BCE all the way to the present. I'm sorry. You might want to get comfortable. We do, however, have shortcuts, and they consist of successive eras through which Beirut has gone. All we have so far mapped in the Bronze Age, or all we have so far mapped out, is the extent of the built domain in Beirut at the time, or the urban occupation, which happens to coincide with the city's center today. Keep in mind that this is an engine. It is drawing the map as people do query. And in case you'd like to compare this early version of the city with what it looks like now, you can by calling up one of three types of overlays, such as a survey from space. So basically, you call up the map, it shows up, you click on it, and then you can change the transparency according to whatever zoom level you are at, and then you can make comparisons between what was there and what is there now. And then you can recenter the map, whatever. And the music is to take care of these silent moments. So now we're starting to go forward. We're going to skip the Iron Age. I skipped Beirut's Phoenician past, too bad. We do have, sorry. And go straight to the Hellenistic. You can go to the map and you'll see it. And go to the Hellenistic era, when the city begins to have traces of its earliest remaining architectural forms, towers and walls in this case. Everything on the map can be probed. So if you click on something, it will tell you what it is. And now we have already moved right along to 64 BCE and are discovering Roman Beirut with its hippodrome, fora, orthogonal layout, necropoli, etc. Now here we can bring up another type of historical overlay, the archaeological survey, one archaeological survey that was used to figure out where Beirut's Roman streets were or must have been. So if you'd like to know if you're sitting on a Roman necropolis right now when you live in Ashrafiyeh, yep, you are. So the Roman city was destroyed by a succession of earthquakes that culminated in the 551 tidal wave and quake. And so all that will soon disappear, although if you were to compare it with a contemporary satellite view, you'd see that some of these streets are still in existence. For centuries to come, there wasn't much there. This was when Damascus was the center of the Umayyad dynasty. So we are going to skip all that again and go straight to 1290, which marks the end of the Crusader rule. We are now in, I can barely see it, but 1290, I presume. That building we have is the Church of St. John, built more than a century earlier, and that we have mapped as a church between 1150 and 1290. So you click on it, it tells you what it is. And then you can get rid of that. Now if you go a year later, oops, the last of the Crusader strongholds had fallen to the Mamluks, and the building becomes a mosque from then on, and it keeps that shape until 1919. I can barely see the button. I can do it. So now we're going to start moving ahead to 1516. The city is now an Ottoman city. We can now check out another kind of historical overlay, one of the earliest known maps of Beirut, drawn a few years later by the Turkish cartographer Piri Reis. So if you'd like to find out more about the second type of historic overlay, all you have to do is click on it and enter another environment that connects back to the map via an API and where we keep high-resolution scans. There you can inspect the document more closely, zoom in, find out what's written, find out who owns it, where it is. It's actually in Baltimore, not far from here. And you can read on it, for example, Ras Beirut or Qalat Beirut. It should show up fairly soon. And then you can sort of get rid of it and go back to the map. So the Ottomans ruled Beirut intermittently, and I'm going to now take you to the year before they ruled it a second time. This is about the time when Beirut ceases to be under the control of Mount Lebanon princes, and when it falls prey to skirmishes between the Russians and the Ottomans. But it also happens that I think we are now in 1774. We have one of the first views of Beirut. And the icon in the middle of the water shows a cone of vision that matches that particular view. So a primary source that we can, that we have nicely stored elsewhere and that we can call up for the map. We're going to now start moving forward to 1849. Beirut has just been bombarded again by the British. That was 9 years earlier. And along with the Austrians, they took sort of these warring factions took a keen interest in becoming arbiters in the Egyptian Ottoman War and in representing the city visually, which is why we get these nice watercolors and paintings. And now you can do the same. You can zoom in, see the details, find out how commerce was working then, at least in the view of Austrians, how mercantilism at the harbor worked. You can see the dog in the background. You can see the guy with his camel. The shops, souk, right there. So, hop, you get rid of that. And then we keep going forward. We're now going to go to 1876. Come on. Yep. Now Beirut has lost its medieval fortifications and had by then become an object of photographic representation. Our map, by the way, has a legend, and it's going to show up soon. So at the bottom, you have the collection of the images we have so far incorporated. But the map legend can also help you find things where they are by buildings, let's say, universities, hospitals, consulates, and then we'll get to water features. And then not that we have that many images for the moment, but eventually we will. So if they're in the way, you can toggle them on and off so that you don't clutter the map with little icons. So this is the toggle on and off. And then the map starts doing something a bit cool. Cool. Yep. So if you're to bring in a contemporaneous map, it too can be clicked and probed for information that it may not have even declared itself. So for example, if you find a spot on a map, this triangle that has cypresses in it, and you say, what is that? You click on it, and then you find out that that's the Bashura cemetery. And if you go further down and there's this little parcel, well, that's the Jewish cemetery of Beirut. And both are there to this day. That's in fact how we found them. So, and the same applies to what the map actually declares. The map knows that this is the Sisters of Charity, these are the military barracks. But because we accrue data over time, suddenly the maps become likely to reveal information they were not intended to reveal. So the city will start growing. It's always concentric around the harbor, and we're going to go all the way up to 1941. I only have so many minutes. I think we're going to 19. Yes, we are. I forgot about this. Do you see the pointer? There. Never mind. So we've gone to 1912, the city is growing, the neighborhoods are becoming apparent and named. And now we're in 1931. So if you are in 1941 and you call up a contemporaneous map, that shows the old airport of Beirut, where the Cité Sportive is today. You can also, so now you go look for that airport, you find it. And then if you want to see aerial surveys done by the Royal Air Force, trying to camouflage the airport from bombardment, remember we are in World War II right now, this is what you'll get. Forgive the black borders, they have since disappeared. I entered the wrong data value for the RGB bands, but that's another matter. So now we've gone to we're going, I guess, to 1977. Are we? Yep. And we can call up another kind of historical overlay. And now it's not just the survey, it's not just photographs, it's now architectural plans that show the city not as it once was, but as it was once projected. In other words, how Beirut imagined itself going forward in 1977. So this is the 1977 réaménagement, I don't know what, plan directeur. And then you can get rid of it, you can change its transparency, compare, and so forth. And then we can go to 1993 when we get the plan that's being incorporated now, which is the Solidaire plan that should show up in about a second. And so get rid of that. Compare. Now you can go all the way to 2018, and at that point the map flips. It becomes only a satellite view, and it's a survey. So basically, we're connected to the most recent. Oh, I forgot. There was this little moment of the 1993, how the city looked in 1993. This is a photograph by Jim Barnes. So now you go all the way to the present, and the map flips to a sort of live satellite view, not entirely live. But then that map is searchable, be it by clicking, by probing, or by search. So if up there you write American, the autocomplete will offer whatever the engine has available, so in this case, American University of Beirut, and then the map will go there. So this map is also shareable. You can share it on Facebook. So whatever configuration, whatever you've asked the computer to tell you about Beirut at whatever time, that moment is shareable via Facebook or Twitter, somewhere there. And you can also export a PNG, just a raster file of the map, how you want it, put it in your PowerPoint and do something with it. And if you want to do it on your phone, you can, with the added functionality that it will situate you in 1910. So if you're walking in downtown Beirut in streets that no longer exist, you can see where you would have been back then, or what someone would have seen back then, or in what project could have been imagined back then. It's a bit psychedelic, but it's okay. So it works exactly like the desktop version, except that it geolocates you at the same time. And then you can call up the historical overlays, change their transparency, and if you are standing in a particular cone of vision, you can see what your predecessors saw at that very spot. This is the transparency. This is a browser simulator, so it's a bit slow. In case you're interested, you can try it on your phone now, diverseLevant.org. You should get there, hopefully. So none of this would have been possible without the support of the New Levant initiative and a team of GIS specialists and cartographers. And if anyone is interested in finding out what it takes to put all this together, this is the geostack you will need to build. It includes an open access digital library of images, a geographic information system, an open source relational database, and a content delivery web service. Thank you very much.